Hey guys, today we're doing a bit of a special video, so we're going to be going over the initial preliminary viability rankings for the SSOU post DLC metagame. For those of you that aren't familiar with viability rankings, I'll be sure to leave a link to the thread in the movie description, but basically what we do is a whole slew of really strong players. You can actually see the list right here on your screen right now. ABR, Yod, Mortis, myself, all you councilmen alongside Aswapa, and TDK also on the council, and then my fellow moderators, Jordy, Leo, Tyla, TPP, and then another great tournament player, Lovely Kicks. All of us, we come together and we vote on where Pokemon should be placed. So normally we would have it tiered like S rank, A rank, B rank, and so on and so forth, down to C, D rank, and like the Pokemon at S are like the best Pokemon, the Pokemon that dictate how the metagame's played, and then A is like the really good ones, and so on and so forth. But nowadays, since the metagame's really new, we want to get a resource out for the first round of the World Cup Pokemon, which just started today, which I'm going to actually discuss in another video probably at some point. So we decided to go, and we just did a little like 3-tier system, so we could list all the viable Pokemon, and we broke it up into great, good, and viable. So with this list, we were able to really establish the best Pokemon, or like the top third, then the middle third, the good Pokemon in the metagame, and then the Pokemon that you can use, but they might not be as effective or consistent. I actually defined the terms above. I'll read those definitions. It's probably cut off for you guys, but basically it says great Pokemon who are seen as some of the best in the metagame. The presence mandates specific counterplay or shapes team building to a degree. This tends to consist of the most common Pokemon, but more importantly, the most effective ones. Good Pokemon who are seen as solid options in the metagame, but may have possible shortcomings. The presence mandates considerations in team building and can help the cores or focuses of your teams, but they may not be as consistent as Pokemon ranked in the great tier. And last but not least, viable Pokemon who are usable options in the metagame, but likely do not see consistent usage or regular effectiveness. Their presence may at least cross your mind in team building, even if they are fringe presences, and as they complete teams requiring specific roles that can be filled, but they may lead to holes or lopsided matchups due to their inconsistency overall. So yeah, all of us besides ABR, because ABR has been busy lately and not quite able to play a metagame yet. He's going to get to it soon, don't worry. So 9 out of 10 of us voted on where we should play these between great, good, and viable. And we also voted on a whole other slew of Pokemon that actually didn't get deemed viable. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go over all of these Pokemon. It's kind of like our first look into like what is good and what isn't good in the SSU metagame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through every single Pokemon listed under great and good and give a little analysis on it, maybe anywhere from like 30 to 90 seconds on each Pokemon because this video can't take over an hour. And then I'm also going to just list the Pokemon that are inviable and maybe discuss some noteworthy Pokemon that maybe fell on viability or finally gained viability after a long time because of DLC and why. So yeah, just to give a really good inside perspective on team building, which on the metagame side, which hopefully can not only help you guys with playing the games, knowing what to expect, but also with team building, building your own teams. Because I know a lot of people have been asking, hey, can you help me with your teams? And I've been having a great time helping you guys with your teams, be it in the comments, in Smogon forum PMs, or Discord PMs, or just, through my videos. But this will definitely be a resource to help you guys grow independent, because ultimately, not only do I want to help you directly, but also I want to help you kind of learn the skills beyond just like telling you what I would do. Because in a way, learning from people that maybe are a bit more experienced can help you gain experience yourselves. Just like, for example, when I play old generations, I always look at the replays of the best old generations players, and I model my kind of play styles and my strategies off of them. I use their experience to become my own experience, and that's how I get better. So in a way, that kind of cyclical exchange of improvements is how I feel I can run this YouTube channel and help you guys improve in your own games for a lot of the newer players, but also some of the more experienced players or watch this, some of my friends. I'm sure you guys love hearing about what's good in the metagame now, and not everyone's had a chance to play it. And I happened to stream the metagame for over 7 hours just on Saturday for the Smogon Charity Bowl, and I just got to see what everyone was using, what's good, what's not good, etc. So that helped us form this list as well. But yeah, without further ado, because we're already almost 5 minutes into this video, let's get started. So the first Pokemon listed in great, and keep in mind this is alphabetical, is going to be Alakazam. This is not saying it's the best Pokemon in the game, but rather it's the first alphabetical Pokemon that's listed under great. We have a whopping total of, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 Pokemon listed under great. You can actually see, we go all the way down to Volcarona. Yeah, but we're going to start at the top. So Alakazam, it's a really great Pokemon in metagame right now. I tend to use a set with Nastyplot, Psychic, Focus Blast, and Recover. However, moves like Knockoff or Chauncey Shadow Ball for Slowbro, opposing Alakazam. Getting a one-shot on Dragapult and one-shot on Alolan Marowak with Life Orb is also really viable. Other moves like Thunder Wave, Encore, even Psyshock are also seen from time to time, but I personally prefer to Nastyplot Recover Psy Focus set. With Life Orb, it's really strong. It's going to be able to break through your cores with like your Hippowdon, Tangrowth, / Ferrothorn, / Amoonguss, plus, Clefable. Because with 20 defense EVs, you live Hippowdon's Earthquake with these, or Choice Band, Azumarilla's Aqua Jet. And you're able to just do a ton of damage to them back. I mean, just to give an example, Psychic from Alakazam is doing north of 60% to a physically defensive Hippowdon when you have Life Orb. At +2, you actually have a chance of, you always kill physically defensive Corviknight with Life Orb Focus Blast, and you're able to just destroy things like Clefable at +2, you're able to 2KO, Azumarill, you're able to one-shot. Of course, you're getting rid of things like Ferrothorn with Focus Blast, Como with Psychic. Dragapult can barely switch into a +0 Psychic, but has a chance to die after Stealth Rock, which is crazy. And you're just quicker than Cinderace, because you're always 120 speed and it's 119, so they have to Sucker Punch if they even have it, and if they don't, then forget about it. Also, while you don't love getting paralyzed from things like Thunder Wave Slowbro or Thunder Wave Clefable, you actually do have outs nonetheless because of that. Despite being frail, you're still quicker than slower Magearna, Ferrothorn, Amoonguss, Hippowdon, Clefable at -2 speed from the paralysis. So that's really helpful as well. All things considered, it's just kind of picking up where it left off in the kind of balance-oriented metagame, where it was seen in like Generations 5 and 6 is a really great Life Orb Pokemon. It's abused Magic card, and I think that's where it is now. Sash sets are also really good against offensive teams, but there are multi-hit moves coming around right now, and Sash just makes it a lot weaker, so personally I prefer Life Orb, but yeah, all things considered, Alakazam's a great option. I quite like it with the support of Teleport on Clefable or Slowbro, and in addition to that, slower Volt Switches from Magearna, or U-turns from things like Corviknight and Mandibuzz can also help as well. Things that keep it in check, such as Mandibuzz, Specially Defensive Corviknight, Thunder Wave users, and priority users or faster Pokemon like Dragapult, are all pretty noteworthy. Most teams should have one or two, but being able to pick off single kills at a time is something that is personally, my belief is like Alakazam's forte, if you will. That wasn't like a sentence, but Alakazam's forte is picking off things one at a time, not necessarily sweeping, but with paralysis support, it can sweep. Or eliminating the right things it can sweep. So that's something to keep in mind. Anyway, let's go down to the next Pokemon. Next Pokemon we're going to be looking at is Azumarill here. Just copying the stream. Azumarill is really good with Belly Drum, Aqua Jet, Play Rough, Knockoff. So basically, the typical defensive counters to a Choice Band or even an Assault Vest, Azumarill, we actually saw Ewood Mortis use an Assault Vest set during the Charity Bowl. I don't think it's that great, but it definitely is a niche defensively. It helps check things like the aforementioned Alakazam and Dragapult. But getting back on topic, that's just really cool, because at +6, if you get a Belladrum up, which isn't that hard, you should be able to get one up most games, as you saw in my live the other day. And if you haven't, then be sure to check that out, guys. I put out lives every day, I know you. Sometimes I actually put out 2 lives some days this week, so double trouble, guys. But anyway, be sure to check that out. Regardless, let's say you get up a Belladrum, and you're outrunning all of your normal checks, like Amoonguss, Slowbro, Ferrothorn, Physically Defensive Corviknight, Tangrowth, Toxapex. Yeah, you can go on with others as well, like Gastrodon, I guess. This is the Gastrodon, yeah. But the fact of the matter is, you're outrunning all of them. And at +6, you're killing each and every one of them. Besides Tangrowth, it's a roll to kill. But if you have Rocks up, because a lot of those teams like run hyper offensive teams with like Rocks and Ferrothorn and Extra Drill, which kind of tend to stay up in those games because you don't get a turn to defog. But yeah, you're killing all of them at +6, so all of a sudden, they're no longer answers. They're actually the prey of Belladrum Azumarill. It completely turns the tables. In addition, faster Pokemon, Azumarill, of course, killing Alakazam, Excadrill, Cinderace, offensive Magearna, Rotom Heat, Volcarona, Urshifu, after Stealth Rocks anyway, with +6 Aqua Jet, which is just absolutely amazing in my eyes. So that extra damage output at +6 with Aqua Jet is just absurd. And even things like Hydreigon, which is listed on good, and Dragapult, which is one of the great Pokemon, and Como-O, with a little chip on the former two, or if you're staying healthy with Azumarill later on, you could actually navigate to where you're going to be able to sweep those Pokemon regardless, despite them living a +6 Aqua Jet. Because A, Como can't really do a ton to you unless it runs the rare Poison Jab, which personally I love as a 4th move, to help with Azumarill in particular, but not everyone does. So there's that. But also, it's easy to get a turn or 2 or 3 of Stealth Rocks on Dragapult, on Hydreigon, as you force them in, as they try to make progress with those Pokemon, or generate momentum with those Pokemon, and that will help put it into Aqua Jet range. So yeah, that's really important as well. I'm just going to pause for 1 second. We're going to get to Chauncey right after that. My bad about that, guys. Just to fix some background noise. But anyway, the third Pokemon we'll be discussing is Chauncey. So for those of you who don't know, Chauncey got Teleport. However, you can't use Teleport with Wish, so that's an unfortunate combination. Like that's illegal. Just like Soft Boiled plus Teleport isn't legal on Clefable. But there is a silver lining. Chauncey's just still a great special wall. It could run a whole assortment of moves alongside Teleport. You could run Soft Boiled. You could run Stealth Rock, Seismic Toss, Toxic, Thunder Wave, Healing Wish. You can run Wish without that. You could run Protect with Wish. I mean, you name it. There's just a lot of great things you could do. And seeing as it's like the best special wall, it's going to wall special Dragapult, Magnezone, Rotom Heat. And yeah, all of them you can set up on it, but still, it could kind of pivot around, you know. It's amazing it's Volcarona. It's the single thing holding it back from being like top tier. And couple that with the fact that just it complements so many physical walls right now to form great cores that it's pretty much a staple on stall or even really good on some like bulkier balance teams as well. So yeah, it definitely fits well into the great tier. I'd even rank it a top 6 or 7 mon in my opinion. Yeah, maybe closer to top 10 actually. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Just gonna have a sip of water 1 second. Anyway, so next Pokemon we're gonna be discussing is Cinderace. So for those of you who don't know, Cinderace recently got Libero. Unfortunately, it's kind of been overshadowed by DLC, but let me let you know, guys, it was Wrecking Ball before the DLC came out, and it's still going to be pretty good. Unfortunately, things like Slowbro, Azumarill, Como-O, Hippowdon, even Rotom Heat and Marowak Lola can help slow it down, but it's still a great answer to Volcarona. It has a ton of offensive utility. We're actually seeing some Electro Ball sets as well, even if it's not as common as I thought it would be because Pelipper and Slowbro are all over the place. But yeah, it's still solid. And yeah, it just has a ton of viability. It could run Choice Band, it could run Heavy Duty Boost with Bulk Up or Work Up, and then 3 attacks. And among those attacks, you could run Sucker Punch, Pyro Ball, High Jump Kick or Low Kick, Zen Headbutt, Electro Ball, U-Turn, Sucker Punch. I think I already said Sucker Punch. I'm not going to say Sucker Punch again. Just kidding. I said it 3 times in that sentence because apparently that's the thing now. But yeah, Cinderace is great. It kind of has this built-in versatility. It's not quite peak Greninja from Generation 6 when it got banned, but it's really good. Speaking of the Greninja versus Cinderace comparison, there's a video that Joey and I compared the two on Joey's channel. It actually helped gain me a lot of subscribers, so if you want subscribers from that video or that time from Joey's channel, let me know in the comments. I really appreciate all you guys sticking around. And if you don't know that video, then check it out on Joey's channel for sure. His channel is really easy to navigate, so I'm sure you can find it there. Anyway, next Pokemon is Clefable, and actually, despite being in great tier, a couple people actually voted for it being good, and it honestly has taken a big hit in viability, but keep in mind that this is coming from a Pokemon that was literally used over 60% of the time before, so it was like far and away the best Pokemon. Now, it's, closer to top 10. Wish plus Teleport sets are taking advantage of so much easier with Azumarill, Excadrill, Magnezone, Marowak, Lola, Rotom Heat, Urshifu, Volcarona just being all over the place. Those plus some Pokemon that you'll see in good rank in a minute. But yeah, the utility sets with like Thunder Wave, which helps against Alakazam and Volcarona and Urshifu, and among other things, is great. Knockoff is also really good for Marowak, Alola. Also chips steel types like Excadrill and Ferrothorn and knocks off the leftovers. Black Sludge, sorry, from Toxapex. So yeah, a lot of things you do there. I actually find Toxic to be a pretty interesting prospect as well. It hits Hippowdon, it hits Marowak, Alola, it hits Rotom Heat, which is huge. Rotom Heat's great right now. Slowbro, Tangrowth, Volcarona, yeah. So there are a lot of things you could do with Clefable in my eyes. It's really versatile. I don't find Combine sets to be super great right now, but pretty much anything shy of that is a solid option. So yeah, while the Wish Teleport set still phased out, it's of course still viable, so don't like completely sleep on it. I mean, it was like the titan of SSU for the longest time, but yeah, it's cool to see it drop down. I think a lot of people that were calling for the ban, thankfully, are going to be kind of quiet for the next couple of months. So yeah, that's great, but there is another Teleport user that we're going to get to very soon that's also just splendid in the metagame. But anyway, the next Pokemon is Dragapult. Dragapult actually is running more physically oriented sets nowadays, such as Dragon Dance and even a Dragon Fang set with Dragon Darts, which is really cool. However, the Spec set is also booming in popularity. Overall, Dragapult is just a great Pokemon in the metagame. It's really cool that you can't actually touch it with Chauncey's Seismic Toss, but that coupled with the fact that status is super common right now in these like bulky cores with like Rotom Heat, Slowbro, Tangrowth, Toxapex, etc. That Hex is just OP. Of course, Chauncey can wall it, and Mandovis can wall it, but those aside, it's really great. It also is just a convenient speed control Pokemon that has access to U-turn, so yeah. Dragapult's physical sets also are able to break through Volcarona, whereas you live a +1 Psychic with ease, so Dragapult is a really practical presence right now. More of what you saw from it. Same with Excadrill, the next Pokemon. We're seeing some more Mold Break usage outside of Sand teams, admittedly, but it tends to be best on Sand teams, probably with the Swords Dance roll. In my eyes, it's great in general. Iron Head, the boosted Rapid Spin, Earthquake, you know, you can see Toxic there, you can see Swords Dance there, you can see Rock Slide there. A lot of options built in, a lot of viability. It's still good at shutting down fairy types like Clefable, but nowadays it also does really well against Magearna, like Focus Blast, which is amazing. One of the many reasons why Drill is seeing a little uptick in usage now as well, despite being already really good before, and being clearly in the great tiers, probably one of the top 10 Pokemon as well. Anyway, next up we have Ferrothorn and Hippowdon. They're two walls that largely remain viable from where they were before. Not much change with them. I will say Ferrothorn tends to run some special defense to make sure it always lives with Life Orb, Alakazam, Focus Blast 100% of the time. After Stealth Rock, I think it's like 120 EVs that I've personally been running. And also, Leech Seed variants are really good against the Combine variants of Magearna. I particularly like Leech Seed plus Thunder Wave. There's actually a team where I don't run any hazards in my Ferrothorn. It's just like Leech Seed, Thunder Wave, knockoff, Body Press, or Power Up. And I think that's really cool that you could like toy around with Ferrothorn like that. I think that Ferrothorn actually just has a lot of versatility right now, and I think we're going to see more and more structures with it used in different fashions with different spreads. Physically defensive and specially defensive both have a ton of merit right now. So yeah. Anyway, Hippowdon, yeah, again, it's just, they're all running physically defensive with Whirlwind, they're Toxic plus Stealth Rock, Earthquake, and Slack Off. No really surprises there. Leftovers has been used a little bit more than Rocky Helmet now. It helps check Urshifu. While you don't get the chip of Rocky Helmet, you're able to live 2 hits more often than not with Leftovers, so that's cool. Anyway. Sorry, just having a sip of water. Next Pokemon is Como-O. It's cool because you live a +1 Psychic from Volcarona and get a Toxic off, or potentially Revenge Kill it from low health. It also can soft check Marowak Alola. And it's just good in general at checking other things as well. But it's kind of lost some viability because we're seeing Azumarill, Alakazam, and Magearna all over the place. And Urshifu is able to Togekiss and also gives competition among fighting types. So offensive combo has fallen off quite a bit, but defensive sets with Stealth Rock are still good. We actually saw quite a few of them later on in the Smogon Charity Bowl, but admittedly, I do think it took a little hit, but it's still easily enough to be a top, 19 Pokemon in my eyes. So yeah, next up is Magearna. This is a huge Pokemon. Obviously, it was newly introduced. Just to give some backstory, it gained access to Stored Power, Draining Kiss, among other things. So we've actually been seeing a set with Calm Mind in either Iron Defense or Shift Gear with Draining Kiss and Stored Power, and it's really good against non-his attack specs. But there are still a lot of things to take advantage of it, in my opinion. This is actually a really controversial topic in the comments of my video. I actually made a long post about it in the OU sub forum. I'll actually probably leave a link to that in the movie description, but I'll probably forget, honestly. But basically, in my opinion, because Magearna doesn't have access to Z-moves anymore, it isn't as much of an immediate threat to balance and bulky offensive teams. So if you go to your bulkiest check to it, like Volcarona, Amoonguss, Rotom Heat, which is amazing right now, Marowak, Alola, your own Pivot Magearna, Excadrill, Thunder Wave, Clefable, Cinderace, or Chauncey. Just those are all examples, by the way, in S tier. There's also Amoonguss a bit lower down, Gastrodon. I mean, if we scroll down, we could see a few more. Yeah, especially defensive Corviknight, etc. Doesn't really matter though. Jirachi, yeah, but actually, sorry, I'm just turning it off. Here we go. This is a bit better, yeah. So if you go to one of those immediately, even if they have a set that beats that Pokemon, or makes it so that you've got to be a bit careful, you got to get in and out, get your crippling off and then just switch out to whatever can beat that set. Even if it requires partial counterplay through 2 Pokemon, it's very easy and very plausible for these balance teams to be able to cover it. And I know the counter argument to that is oh, no, you need 2 Pokemon to keep Magearna in check. No, because these Pokemon already are super common. Here, let me make an example for you guys. Genesect in ORAS and SMOU had mixed sets, or special and physical sets, where if you switched your counter to one of them and you faced the other, you were losing almost all of your health, if not dying, if they clicked the right move. That immediate power made the versatility of Genesect easily broken in its own right. Obviously, Genesect is a great Pokemon, but there were some checks and counters to it, especially with Toxapex, Celesteela, etc. around. Don't get me wrong. The thing is that Magearna has those checks and counters. We listed a bunch of them, but a lot of them can switch into it initially and either shut down all the sets like the fire types like Rotom Heat, Volcarona, or Haze Toxapex, Jirachi, or alternatively speaking, what could happen is, sorry, I'm pausing for a second here, just got to reposition, but what could happen is you see, oh, I went to my my Ferrothorn and it might have Focus Blast because it used Shift Gear instead of Calm Mind and it looks offensive given the amount of damage it took from Scald on the switch-in or whatever. So therefore, I can switch out of my Ferrothorn easily and go to my Toxapex or my Magearna or my Marowak, knowing that they're not going to be able to break me with the offensive set. They can't set up Iron Defense in my face. So the thing with Magearna is it's great. And honestly, you could justify using it on every other team nowadays. It's just that good defensively and offensively. But the thing is that bar being a bit centralizing, which I do get, it's not actually on paper broken. Like, it doesn't fit the definition of it at all in my eyes. There is sufficient counterplay to it. The metagame does not have to bend over backwards to keep it in check. There are things that deal with it really well, and also it's a great defensive piece in the metagame. So I'm half arguing that it's not broken, but I think if you want to make a pro-ban argument, which I completely understand, and currently, while I'm not banning it, I understand why a lot of people want a suspect. I'm definitely going to entertain the idea in the future if it stays this way. I just think that Magnezone is a lot worse immediately off the bat in terms of sheer power without Z moves, and because of that, it's easier to check if you misstep initially, or if you go to something that's more of a mid-round initially and you don't know the set. So the versatility element of Magnezone is still there, in fact better than ever, but the amount that versatility punishes the metagame isn't. And that's why I think while Magnezone is a great Pokemon, it's not broken or ban-worthy at the moment. And we're going to keep it in the metagame for at least the start of World Cup, but we could always suspect it. I don't think a quick round's going to happen, but I'm down to suspecting it if more people show support for that. So yeah, keep your eyes open for that, but that's a little discussion on Magnezone. Of course, it's a great Pokemon. It could run bulky combine sets, it could run offensive shift gear sets, it could run pivot sets, it could run trick with a choice item. All these sets, it's amazing. It's just nothing really breaks it in my eyes. So yeah, next up we have Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is a great Pokemon, and now in the metagame, it's able to wall things like Alakazam, which is huge. Also check Dragapult and check Marowak Alola. It's just really practical right now. It's overtaken Corviknight as the premier defog user in my eyes. But yeah, that coupled with the fact that it has utility moves like Knock Off, Toxic Threat for Rotom Heat, Hippowdon, Kommo-o, Slowbro, Foul Play for Swords and Excadrill, Brave Bird to help hit things like Heracross, Conkeldurr, Volcarona, U-turn to generate momentum, etc. It's really great, and it could fit a lot of balance teams right now, even bulky offensive teams if it runs U-turn. So yeah, Mandibuzz is definitely at an all-time high now. Next up is Marowak Alola, a Pokemon that's taken the metagame by storm, arguably. It's a good check to Cinderace, Magnezone, Rotom Heat, Volcarona. And it's got a fighting immunity, which is pretty cool. And it hits like a complete truck, especially because it got access to this new move, Poltergeist, which 110 base power, physical ghost move with 90 accuracy. Finally, we got it. Finally, a strong physical ghost move, thank God. After all these years. But the downside of it is it doesn't affect Pokemon that lack an item. People have literally went out of their way to stop running an item on Slowbro on some teams just for that. I find that ridiculous, but yeah, it is sort of a thing. But that said, Marowak Alola is just a really great product of the metagame right now. Once Pokemon that it keeps in check kind of die out a little bit in popularity, like Volcarona or Magnezone or Cinderace, and honestly, all of them do have sticking power, so maybe we'll see Marowak have sticking power. But yeah, it's a really reactionary Pokemon despite being so offensive, so it'll come and go. But right now, it is great. It is superb. It fits a lot of teams. It could also run Stealth Rock or Swords Dance, and it's great. And yeah, Earthquake hits Toxapex too, so yeah. Rotom Heat right now with Toxic is a really good pivot to Volcarona. In fact, Nastyplot plus Toxic with Wish support and Teleport support is just so good in this metagame. It's one of the few reasons I would still use Wish plus Teleport Clefable, honestly. But yeah, no, it's great at checking Magnezone. You can overwhelm that. We can soft check other things like Volcarona with Toxic, as I said, and Cinderace. It could live any 2 hits, barring high jump kick. So yeah, it does pretty damn good stuff in the metagame. Of course, takes advantage of bulky grasses like Ferrothorn, Amoonguss, and Tangrowth as well. Speaking of bulky grasses and water types and Regenerator and all that nonsense, next up we have Slowbro, Tangrowth, and Toxapex. The first two, Slowbro and Tangrowth, are new Pokemon in metagame. Slowbro in particular loves running a heavy-duty boot set with a physically defensive spread called either Thunder Wave or Psychic or Ice Beam or Toxic or Body Press. You know, there are a lot of fillers that can be running there. I personally prefer Thunder Wave. It helps get Alakazam, Dragapult out of the way, and Thunder Wave, Greedy Urshifu or Volcarona trying to come in and switch. And yeah, Slack Off, Teleport, last two was Teleport with heavy-duty boost and Regenerator is just amazing. You never actually die. I swear to God, like you have like 15 lives with that Slowbro. Being immune to hazard damage means you don't have to slack off as much. You can just teleport out and get your offensive Pokemon in. It works really well in bulky offense, but also it's solid on balanced teams. EO actually is running Future Sight with Teleport, which is amazing. It is really good synergy with things like Kommo-o, Shifu, Dragapult, Cinderace, and Conkeldurr. He also used it with Crawdon. That was really cool. But yeah, no, definitely I'd advise trying Slowbro out. There's so many good things you could do with it. It's really cool right now. So yeah. One of the top 5 Pokemon in metagame right now in my eyes, probably, and honestly, may overtake Toxapex as the best bulky water, but right now, skipping Tangrowth beautifully, Toxapex has risen even further in viability in my eyes. It's now running especially defensive set more often because it's not, clogged up by Dracovish, and that helps it with Volcarona checking. It could still tank a Wicked Blow or 2 close combats from Urshifu with ease, pivot in, regenerate your health out if it goes for Wicked Blow, and just, go to your Dark Resist. It's a really cool checking core to that. Still great against, Cinderace, you could get status off on. Dragapult, you could soft check. Clefable, it could do well against, in a sense. Magnezone could haze. Yeah, it lives any one hit from Heracross. It's just amazing. Especially defensive Bex is great. Physically defensive Bex is great. It's arguably the best Pokemon in the metagame. So, yeah. Next up is Tangrowth. Tangrowth is just a great regenerated Pokemon. Personally, I prefer physically defensive Rocky Helmet to specially defensive Assault Vest, but both are great. It's able to really kind of invalidate Zeraora, among other things. It's also really good against Excadrill. Yeah, you're able to sort of soft check Urshifu as well. Again, you can pivot in, see what moves locking you to get Rocky Helmet, etc. Cycle in and out. So that's really cool. Next Pokemon is going to be... Oh crap, I didn't scroll down enough. I am sorry, guys. You didn't see the next 3 Pokemon. So, yeah, Slowbro, Tangrowth, and Toxapex. You can see I'm highlighting them now. Yeah, no, but that was totally my bad. I forgot that I was scrolling down with it, but yeah, no, definitely try those Pokemon out. I know they're kind of balance-oriented, but they're all still solid Pokemon. But anyway, our next option is Urshifu Single Strike, the Dark-type one. It has a signature move, Wicked Blow, if you guys didn't know. That basically grants it the ability to use an 80 base power Dark move that always lands a critical hit, which is absolutely amazing. So it hits 120 power, which also close combat hits, and both of those are just really strong options in the metagame right now. Yeah, no, definitely check those out. And if those run enough, it also gets Poison Jab for Fairy types, and U-Turn or Sucker Punch in the last move, Choice Band set, and with 130 base attack and 97 base speed, virtually nothing counters it right now. There's only Weezing Galad truly counters it. Leftovers of Powdon's pretty good against it, and then, again, cores with, like, the regenerated Pokemon to pivot in, figure out what it's locking into, and get out of the way with only taking, like, 20% net damage is cool. Rocky Helmet users are pretty good against it as well. And the fact it only has 8 PP on Wicked Blow. But, again, it's hard to keep it in check, don't get me wrong. Urshifu is good, but it's definitely not unchecked, uncountered. I think it's the closest thing to broken in the metagame though right now. It and Magnezone, anyway, those two. I actually I included it in the post I was alluding to earlier that I'll hopefully try and remember to include in the movie description. But Urshifu is just really strong. It has good physical bulk and also a really potent dual stab combination combined with the move that Fairy types. All things considered, Urshifu is great, and I think it's really good. It's one of the reasons why we're not seeing as much that Clefable fat stuff. It actually took you especially defensive Clefable, by the way, which is amazing. But yeah, so definitely try out Urshifu, guys, and let me know what you think when you do try it out. Anyway, the next Pokemon is Volcarona. Volcarona is just really good this generation with heavy-duty boots. It no longer requires the same level of support. Of course, it would be great if it got support from something that helped beat Chauncey, because Chauncey's like the one hard counter to it. But with Bug plus Fire plus Psychic coverage, it's able to hit everything else. Psychic doing neutral damage to Rotom Heat, Marowak Alola, while it also does super effective damage to Como-O and Toxapex. Yeah, that's great. And of course, Bug Fire coverage is great with no Heatran in the game and no hidden power, So yeah. All things considered, Volcarona is a very polarizing figure. Initially, I actually wanted to Quick Band just because it was super cheesy, but there are a lot of things happening right now to keep it in check. Thunder Wave is being used more often. Priority from Azumarill and potentially even Sucker Punch Urshifu is great. Marowak, Lola, Toxic Rotom Heat, especially defensive Brave Bird, Mandibuzz, all seeing a lot of usage as well as Chauncey, of course. So yeah, there are just a lot of ways to soft check Volcarona. One of my other personal favorite ways that I just played in another live is Surf, Sacred Sword, Stone Edge, Flip Turn, Scarf Keldeo, which is really cool on specific bulky offenses, I guess. It generates momentum with Flip Turn, which is really cool. But on top of that, it's also able to use Stone Edge to kill Volk, an old SM and Oras tech, where if they get +1, then you can still kill it, despite your Hydro or Surf not killing it, despite the super effectiveness, because it's +1 special defense, and Volk has decent special bulk. Stone Edge just kills it if you run non-minus attack nature, which is really cool. So that's a nice tech. But anyway, we finished the top 9 Pokemon in the tier. All the Pokemon listed in great. Now we're going to get down to the Pokemon listed in good rank. We're going to get through all these Pokemon. We're going to go over them once over. I'm just going to scroll down so you can see all of them. It goes all the way down to Zeraora, which initially would have been great in a non-Amoonguss Tangrowth metagame, but now those Pokemon are all over the place. So yeah, anyway, in good, we're going to be starting off with Amoonguss. Much like Tangrowth, it's a great bulky grass type. It can run physically defensive or specially defensive. It has access to options like Spore, Stun Spore. EO actually used Payback on it to help with Dragapult and Gengar, which is really cool. So big shout out to EO. It also can run Foul Play, Stomping Tantrum, Sludge Bomb, Clear Smog, etc. We've seen Seed Bomb on a team to Ptolemade, which just helps with special sweepers. Gastroacid or Worry Seed can be helpful as well to negate specific abilities like Magic Guard, Regenerator, etc. Guts on Conkeldurr, etc. You know what I mean. But yeah, no, it's good. Also absorbs Toxic Spike, which Tendril doesn't do, but Oh, it's Tangrowth. Oh my god, Tangrowth doesn't do. Sorry, Tentacle is not viable. But unfortunately, in return for that, while you do resist Fire type as well, and fighting types, you are neutralized against ground and weak to psychic types, so it does really hurt you against things like Alakazam and Earthquakers like Hippowdon, which is worth noting. But anyway, next up we have Bisharp, which is still a really good Pokemon on Hyper Offense. It actually has encountered more checks due to Urshifu being in the tier, and status being all over the place, and physical defense of Hippowdon being as good as ever. But at least Corviknight and Conkeldurr have fallen a little bit off. Same with Hydreigon, which you'll see in a minute. But it's still a good win condition on Hyper Offense, but it's not the same as it was before. Although I don't think it was ever in Great Rank. I think it's just a little bit lower in Good Rank if we were to put that old metagame into this three-tier system as well. So yeah, it's probably like a B+-ish Pokemon. Anyway, moving down, Conkeldurr is still a good Guts Breaker. However, a Pokemon we're going to go over in a minute, Heracross, is giving a ton of competition, and we'll get into that soon. So we're just going to say it fulfills the same role, but it's a lot less effective / common. Maybe a little less effective and a lot less common. Yeah, let's go with that, because it's still pretty decent. Corviknight, seen much better days. The interest of Magnezone hurt it, but also a lot of Pokemon overwhelming it on the offensive end, such as Urshifu, Volcarona, Special Dragapult, Nastyplot Alakazam hurting physical defensive sets, makes it rough. Also, we see more Rotom Heat and Cinderace than ever before, so yeah. That, coupled with the fact that Mandibuzz is being required on a lot more teams to help check things, like, say, Volcarona, Dragapult, yeah, the Ghost Resistance is great. It's also great against Alakazam, whereas Corviknight needs to run special defensive and can't even kill it in one shot. So, yeah, the metagame just wasn't very kind to Corviknight. Next up, we have Ditto and Gengar. Ditto is pretty much specific to stall teams. You can run that with the Choice Scarf, or potentially even run it last on Hyper Offense because the Choice Scarf, and it can be really great with Revenge Killing. And also, as I explained a lot in the charity stream, because people were using Ditto, it could kind of have infinite PP, which lets you win in the long game against opposing stall teams and bulky offensive teams that have Regenerator cores. So that is helpful as well. Next up, we have Nastyplot Gengar. I don't know why I said Nastyplot Gengar. We just have Gengar that can use Nastyplot, but also has other sets as well. It's kind of taking a backseat to Ghost types like Dragapult, but it's still good because it absorbs Toxic Spikes, and it's really threatening to cores with Tangrowth plus Toxic Specs or Slowbro. So there's a lot of merit in Gengar right now. I can see Specs and Nastyplot sets being pretty good, but I don't think Scarf and Wispecs are as potent right now, especially with Mandibuzz being pretty good right now. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how people use it. Anyway, we have Grimmsnarl, which basically just screens in Hyper Offense, and Hawlucha, which is basically just setting up the Swords Dances with Unburden on either, Sky Attack on Hyper Offense or with Unrillaboom teams with Grassy Seed. So yeah, it's pretty decent right now in those Hyper Offenses, but it's not necessarily much better than something like Bisharp. They're both bordering fringe staple tier for Hyper Offense teams, but not quite there. They're both really good, but they do have some downsides and some checks that are pretty common. Anyway, finally, we talk about Heracross, a new Pokemon. It got access to Spikes, but more importantly, a Flame Orb set with Facade plus Combat Knockoff and either Swords Dance, Mega Horn, or Spikes is really good right now. We saw a lot of that. Actually, we also saw Eagle Vank use a Choice Band set, which is honestly spectacular. There aren't any switch-ins to Choice Band Heracross, but I find Choice Band or Shifu to outclass it, so Guts Heracross is the way to go on those teams. Anyway, I think it's really great. I might actually do a live with Guts Heracross and Sticky Web, so stay tuned for that in the future if I happen to remember that, because that idea just came to my mind. That's really cool. But that aside, it's just a great option right now. It also is resistant to ground, and it's much faster than Conkeldurr, so it's not as reliant on Mach Punch, which is cool. It helps outrun things on bounce cords. And yeah, it's just a really good option right now. Definitely try out Heracross. I think I rated it a little bit below Conkeldurr, but it has a lot of niche right now. They play a little differently, but also a lot of the same because they're both, Guts, fighting types. But yeah, both the pros and cons, and maybe we'll do a video comparing the two later on. Next off is Hydreigon. Pretty much same old, same old. We're seeing a lot of Scarf to counteract hyper-offensive teams, which we saw early on in the home metagame and the initial metagame, but ultimately Life Orb Nastyplot is still going to reign the supreme as the better set. It's really cool with things like Knock Alakazam or Thunderwave on Clefable. Just kind of as support it. Knock Alakazam is great for Chauncey, but also you can actually beat Chauncey 1v1 if you Nastyplot in the switching, because +4 Draco Meteor does 1,000,000 damage. But yeah, no, any support for that is great, and Thunderwave to slow things down is also really cool. Unfortunately, it's in a speed tier where it has to run plus speed now for Urshifu, which sucks. Now getting the +2 kill on Clefable is not there, but at least Clefable's dropped a bit in popularity. Unfortunately, other fairy types like Magnezone came out, and now revenge killers like Volcarona, Dragapult. Oh, Dragapult was already there, but Volcarona and Alakazam right now present, so you gotta be careful, but Hydreigon's still a decent option in the metagame. Next up is Jirachi. It's pretty cool against Alakazam that like Shadow Ball, and some Magnezone sets, especially ones that like Iron Defense, although you can still beat those with the right set, especially trick sets. But yeah, Jirachi's seen better days. It struggles mightily against like these bulky cores like Hippowdon, Ferrothorn, or Tangrowth. Toxic Specs or Slowbro type of cores. You can't really do anything against those offensively. It's just going to U-turn out, maybe get Rocks up if it has it, or force a Trick or whatever. But yeah, Jirachi has utility, but it's not superb right now. People are trying out Combine sets, but it's kind of underwhelming in my eyes. It's really, it's either going to be too frail or too weak. You can't really run a million EVs and 17 moves are covered. So yeah, with Mandibuzz and Magearna and Aegislash all being pretty common, that's not surprising. Wait, is Aegislash not here? Where's Aegislash? Oh my god, I forgot Aegislash. Hold the phone. We're editing this post. We're adding in Aegislash. You know what? We're gonna pause. Alright, give me a second, guys. I don't know where Aegislash is. Okay, guys, my bad about that and the pause. Aegislash is going to be putting good. I just talked about it briefly. I forgot it on the sheet. Completely my bad. I just was a copy-paste failure, and we never voted on it. But yeah, we all agree it should be in good. So Aegislash, just same old, same old. I think that Specs is still good. Swords Dance is still okay on offensive teams. Unfortunately, Mandibuzz doesn't help it a ton, so it's not great anymore, but it's still pretty good. Subtoxic is going to be decent, though. I think that's going to be cool. It's just an abundance of specially defensive Tox Specs, so yeah. But with that said, I definitely think Aegislash is decent. Yeah, no. I'd say it's probably like, A-ish. Maybe low A, but yeah, it definitely fits into the good, the gist of good. But anyway, let's go on below. Beyond Jirachi, we also have Kingdra and Kyurem. Kingdra actually got Hurricane and Flip Turn, which is really cool. Specs and Life Orb sets in Rain. They're becoming staples in Rain teams. It's definitely solid there. And it's like a truck in Rain, of course. And it has nice bulk, natural bulk, and also nice defensive typing, which helps it. However, it doesn't help it against freeze-dry Pokemon like Kyurem, which still just uses Choice Specs. Unfortunately, with Magearna and Chauncey in the metagame now, it's a lot worse than before. But maybe people will start using the Dragon Den set again. Actually, not. Haze, Toxic Specs, and Magearna don't really... You know what? I don't think you could justify Kyurem very well right now, unfortunately. But it's still going to be decent because against non-Chauncey teams, Ice Beam's always going to be threatening. Freeze-Dry's going to be threatening, Next up, we have Magnezone. Magnezone is pretty clunky right now. Without Hidden Power Fire, it's not as good against Ferrothorn, but Body Press with Iron Defense is still decent. You could make it work on the right team with the right set and right spread. You're kind of getting creative with it, but yeah, it is really great against Corviknight as well. One of the reasons it holds Corviknight back, and Skarmory and Scizor, which we'll see ranked later on in the Viable column. So yeah, it definitely has a good niche in the metagame. It also can be really threatening on these electric terrain teams or just with Thunderbolt in general. It's just strong special attacker after all. So yeah, Magnezone is good, but not great. Next up, we have Pelipper and Primarina. Pelipper is the rain-induced rain teams are at an all-time high in viability this generation in my eyes, whereas Primarina is probably an all-time low after the recent surge it's had. In terms of like where it's been the last couple of months. Unfortunately, with the abundance of specially defensive Tox Specs, Tangrowth, Amoonguss, Chauncey, it's just really hard to justify right now. I'm thinking maybe a Command Rest set could be cool. Or maybe even Combine Dragonkiss set for Chauncey, but still, you struggle with specially defensive packs, which sucks because you're now taking less damage with packs. You can regenerate your health out, etc. Haze a million times. Yeah, so it's hard, especially with like Rillaboom being more common and electric types. While they fail, other things that are used on their place is still like strong against it. Like for example, you might not see Zeraora, but you see a lot of Urshifu. And Urshifu can 2-KO Primarina, despite Primarina being a fire type, so you'd think it'd resist it. So Primarina structures are kind of inherently weaker to Urshifu, which sucks. So you're seeing like kind of the replacement of like things that straight up beat it, where things that don't necessarily beat it outright, but they make it harder for it to use and justify. There's just different means for holding Primarina back than conventionally, which actually make it a lot worse in my eyes, if that makes sense. So there's your little like in-depth Finch analysis, if you will. Let me know what you think of that. Let me know what you think of Primarina in the metagame in the comments. Yeah, that's a common question. Let me know if you think how Primarina aged, why, and what sets you think could be cool in it. It also gets access to Flip Turn, which is really cool. Maybe that helps on specs. Let me know what you think. Anyway, next Pokemon is Nicholas. It actually did pretty nicely. It didn't gain anything. It's really good against the bulky cores that I just alluded to before. The regenerative spam, Chauncey. You can just set up all over them, so that's great. But yeah, nothing really changed it, so I'm not going to elaborate on it much more. That aside, though, Rillaboom, Skarmory actually is in this tier. Terrakion, Togekiss, and Zeraora around this, the good tier out. These last Pokemon I'll elaborate on. Rillaboom has actually aged pretty nicely, despite Amoonguss and Tangrowth and Volcarona and Mandibuzz being all over the place. Grassy Terrain Rillaboom saw a ton of usage on like Haluja teams, just balances. Grassy Terrain's mad practical right now. While Rillaboom itself is not the most amazing Pokemon, it's walled by a handful of things. It's a really practical Pokemon to add, and you could use the right set. I personally like Swords Dance with Grassy Seed and Acrobatics on like offensive teams. It's really cool at luring in Tangrowth and Amoonguss, and even Ferrothorn just doing a lot with acrobatics, which is cool. You can run Dragon Punch for Ferrothorn as well. But it's still walled by a handful of things that we mentioned. So, yeah, Rotom Heat, Mandibuzz with Foul Play or Toxic or Brave Bird. Dragapult beats non-knockoff variants. Yeah, Volcarona beats non-acrobatic variants, etc. Rillaboom is still pretty solid, though. It's definitely viable. I'd say it's like B+ right now. Anyway, Skarmory, it's just same old, but now it runs Body Press. Yeah, physically defensive, specially defensive, they're both fine on it, I guess. Although physically defensive's used more. Defogger Spikes, Roost, tends to run Whirlwind. It could run Toxic Counter. Other Defog Spikes, Brave Bird, I guess. You know it. Skarmory is always going to be like viable in OU, but not amazing anymore, honestly. Then we have Togekiss, just run same old Nastyplot sets. It runs Trick Specs, Defog as well, Utility. It's decent, but not amazing. And Zeraora, which hurt a ton from the addition of Tangrowth and Amoonguss. Is like the two pretty much things that counters it rather. But also Powdon still being in the tier holds it back. Same with Rotom Heat. Yeah, just Zeraora has seen so many better days. It's probably going to continue to drop in usage. I wouldn't be shocked if it goes UU after we get Gliscor, Zygarde, Garchomp back eventually, especially Gliscor back. But that's going to be not built till November, so it may just hang on to OU till then. Anyway, just to list the viable Pokemon as well, we also have Araquanid, Sticky Web Setter, Barraskewda, as we saw in my live yesterday, Rain, Sweeper, Chandelure, Specs Ghost type strong, Charizard, it's really strong on Sun teams as I've seen in live as well. Cloyster, just the same old, Skill Link, Ice Crash, Flinch Shenanigans after Shell Smash. Crawdon is an icebreaker. Actually, you and more just got good use of it. I personally wanted it to be ranked in good, but other people saw it differently, so that's fine. Diggersby, just, run-of-the-mill breaker. I'd actually got access to high horsepower, which can help it, I guess, on grassy terrain teams, which is cool. Gastrodon, which is kind of like a third-tier water type with Slowbro and Toxic things you gotta lose, but it is pretty good against Alakazam with Clear Smog, I guess, and Volcarona. It could Toxic that, and also against, against Magearna that don't have Iron Defense plus Calm Mind. You can't Clear Smog it, actually, so yeah. Gyarados, yeah, just setup sweeper, normal. It's not really great, but it's good against Volcarona. Hatterene, Magic Bouncer, Incineroar, still a pivot. Jellicent is cool against some of the new rain spam stuff, and I guess it can sort of shut down fighting types, which is fighting moves, which is good for like choice band close combat from our Shifu, I guess. And also the next Pokemon, Keldeo, which I actually put as good because I think Flip Turn Scarf is pretty cool with Stone Edge for Volk, but everyone else will put as bad, viable, not great in the metagame basically. And yeah, there's still a lot of things to keep it in check with Amoonguss, Slowbro, Tangrowth, etc. So I do get it. Crocodile, people are running Anger Point sets with Crocodile, which is kind of funny, so you get +6, but basically you come in on a Wicked Blow from our Shifu that crits you, and then you get +6, which is cool. Yeah, then we have Ludicolo, kind of a third-tier rain abuser with Swift Swim. Malice Fine's seen so much better days with Choice Bender. Mantine actually is viable now. It's pretty good against Volcarona. And yeah, you could potentially also do decently against some fighting-type moves. It could be kind of a niche defogger, I guess. Not amazing, but it is viable on both your teams. Mew, just, kind of utility Pokemon. Mienshao with Regenerator is cool, but also got close combat. So that's neat, but unfortunately it's still like hard-walled by Pex and Slowbro, so yeah, you can't do much there. Mimikyu is still like a hyper-offensive sweeper, which just kind of pathetic Pokemon. Necrozma is still a really versatile niche, but it doesn't have like one defined set that's great in the metagame. Then you also have Ninetales Alola for Veil, Obstagoon, Gut Sweeper, Quagsire, Unaware, Rhyperior, Niche Stealthrock Setter, which I actually put as good because I think it's really good against Rotom Heat and Volcarona, but other people felt differently. There are an abundance of water and grass types that are common, so I do get it. Rotom Wash is barely hanging on to viability at this point, alongside Salazzle, seen so many better days. Scizor actually is decent, but not great. It gained access to Psychic Fangs, which is cool. Seismitoad is just completely falling off after Drakefish goes. Unsurprisingly, unfortunately, there's so much competition among water types, which leads me to Slowking, which is like fringe viable, but not great. Unfortunately, worse than Slowbro. But yeah, in between those two, you have Surfetch, which is viable with Choice Band, but it's walled by an increasing number of things like Tox Specs. And then Amoonguss, Tangrowth can switch into it, and then, find out what you need to pivot to. Yeah, Slowbro Galar is really cool, but I still don't really understand how the signature move works. Eventually, I'll make it work and use it in live, guys. I promise. I know it's one of the new Pokemon that you want to see, but yeah, we just said it was viable, but not great. It really isn't great. It's not done much work in any tournament games yet during all of Saturday Strategy Bowl. But yeah, just move down the list. Snorlax, still a Curse Sweeper. Starmie, kind of a utility Rapid Spinner. Talonflame is a bit underwhelming, unfortunately. I was pretty high in it coming in, but yeah, it's okay, I guess. It gets dual Wing Beat, which is cool, but it's still not strong. And it has some things it's vulnerable to. Torkoal for Sun, Toxtricity is still a special breaker. Tyranitar, I put as good. Choice Band still decent, but kind of lurking in the shadow of Shifu, so maybe we'll see better days. Speaking of Shifu Rapid Strike is unfortunately really underwhelming in our eyes. We put it in Viable. It's probably like a C+, B- type Pokemon. Thunder Punch is pretty cool in it. In fact, the Choice Band 4 attack set is a nice breaker, but it's really easy to pivot around, and with Amoonguss and Tangrowth and Slowbro in your tier, in conjunction with a slew of ghost types for close combat, it's just really limited in what it could do, especially seeing as frail it is and how many weaknesses it has, like Fairy type, Electric type, Grass type, Psychic type, etc. And things like Dragapult just feast on it. Yeah, it's in the wrong metagame for it. Unfortunately, so many things naturally wall it, which is unfortunate because it's a really cool Pokemon, and Surging Strikes is great. But yeah, no, we rank it really lowly. It's probably going to end up in like UU or UUBL, honestly, if I had to guess. But we'll see new Choice Syndrome usage for the next month or so. Anyway, just to round things out, we also have Vaporeon, just, viable Wish Passer. It's also really good against Urshifu's Surging Strikes and just Water moves in general. It's touched on rain teams. And it can run like Haze. It also gains access to Flip Turn if you want to do that. So it has a slow U-turn with Wish, which is great. Venusaur, Sun teams, Weavile gains access to Triple Axle, which is really cool. It makes it deadly strong. Joe actually used a team I built with it in his live today. Definitely check that out. Or if you're coming from that video because maybe you said it was my team, then hey guys, what's up? And last but not least, Weezing. It's got nice utility, and it also is a counter to Urshifu lacking Iron Head because they all run Poison Jab because it hits Azumarill and Primarina harder, which is amazing. So it's like the only true counter to it, but it's still not like spectacular. It has a lot of utility moves though: Defog, Strange Steam, Toxic Spikes, Pain Split, Will-O-Wisp, Fire moves, Sludge Bomb. Yeah, it could even run Taunt. I guess it's cool. Aromatherapy, yeah, no, but it's not amazing. And last but not least, that too. It gets Teleport and Magic Bounce, so it's viable, but it's not really great. It doesn't really check a ton. But yeah, let me know what you think. In particular, I mentioned Primarina. Let me know what you think of that. But also, let me know what you think of the list. What should be higher? What should be lower? Without being too critical, because keep in mind, thankless contributions went into this, and a couple hours of my night went to this. But yeah, I figured I'd bring you guys a video, listening to Pokemon that are ranked and going through what everything does. Hope you guys enjoyed so much, and have a great day, guys. Peace.